Tonight, we turn our attention toward something that happens to you every single night, and that science is only now beginning to fully understand. What is actually happening in the brain during the moment a dream becomes real enough to feel? That question has held researchers for decades, and the answers, it turns out, say as much about who you are as they do about sleep itself. You are safe here, and tonight, that question doesn't need to frighten you. Welcome to Psychology for Sleep. Wherever you are right now, perhaps already lying in the dark, your body heavier than it was an hour ago, the edges of the day finally softening. Allow yourself this particular kind of stillness. We'll move through 100 relaxing facts about what happens in your brain when you dream. From the first flicker of neural activity that opens the dreaming mind, to the slow chemistry of memory weaving itself through the night, to the tender science of why your sleeping brain may be the most quietly creative thing you have ever possessed. These gentle explorations of the dreaming mind create a quiet community of people who are learning to trust their sleep again. A soft like, a subscribe, or sharing this with someone who needs rest tonight helps other sleepless minds find their way here. Minds that are searching without always knowing what they're searching for. Every person who finds this space because of you carries a little more peace into their night. Let yourself settle completely now. Feel your jaw unclench. Feel your shoulders drop just a little more than they already have. You don't need to hold on to any of this. The facts will come to you the way dreams do. Not by force, but by simply allowing. Like a room after the last guest has gone. Still, unheld. And finally, only yours. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're resting where the quietest rooms hold the most feeling. Let your mind soften into the depth it was always built for. And now we begin. Every night, without exception, you dream, even if you wake with no memory of it. Your brain has been dreaming. Sleep researchers have confirmed this consistently. People who claim they never dream are simply not remembering their dreams when they wake. The brain enters dreaming states multiple times each night, and this happens in every human culture, at every age. Across the entire recorded history of sleep science, dreaming is not a quirk. It is as fundamental to human biology as breathing. Tonight, somewhere in the architecture of your sleep, a dream is already waiting. Dreams occur primarily during a phase of sleep called REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. During this phase, your eyes move beneath your closed lids in quick, irregular bursts, as if watching something unfold in real time. This was first formally documented in 1953 by graduate student Eugene Asarinsky and his advisor Nathaniel Kleitman at the University of Chicago. Asarinsky first noticed the phenomenon while observing his sleeping son, then confirmed it across 20 adult subjects. Their findings, published in the journal Science, opened the modern era of sleep research. REM sleep is not the only stage where dreaming happens, but it is where the most vivid, emotionally rich, and narratively complex dreams occur. The other stages of sleep, the non-REM stages, can also produce dreamlike experiences. but these tend to be quieter, more fragmented, closer to slow thoughts than to stories. REM. Dreaming is different. It has characters. It has movement. It has a particular quality of presence that makes it feel, in the moment, absolutely real. Science is still working out exactly why that difference exists. Your first REM period each night is brief, often only 5 to 10 minutes long. But as the night continues, your REM periods grow longer. By the early morning hours, a single REM cycle can last up to 45 minutes or more. This means that the richest, most elaborate dreams of your night tend to happen in the hours just before you wake. The dreams you are most likely to remember are the ones closest to morning, the ones your brain was just finishing when consciousness returned. A full night of sleep typically cycles through 4 to 6 complete sleep cycles, each lasting roughly 90 minutes. Each cycle moves through lighter, non-REM sleep, deeper non-REM sleep, and then a period of REM. As the night progresses, the deep non-REM portions shrink and the REM portions expand. This pattern is not random. It is a carefully orchestrated biological rhythm, governed by internal clocks and neurochemical signals that your brain has been running since before you were born. During REM sleep, the brain is extraordinarily active. Neuroimaging studies show that certain brain regions during dreaming fire with a level of activity that rivals and in some areas exceeds what happens during waking. The visual cortex, the areas responsible for emotion, and the regions involved in autobiographical memory all become intensely engaged. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain most associated with logic, planning, and critical thinking, becomes relatively quiet. This is one reason dreams feel so real and yet so strange at the same time. The visual cortex processes dream imagery with nearly the same intensity as it processes real visual experience. When you see a face in a dream, the same neural populations that would activate if you saw that face in waking life become engaged. When you run in a dream, motor-related regions respond. When you feel fear, the amygdala, your brain's emotional processing center, activates just as it would if the threat were real. The brain, during dreaming, does not make a clean distinction between imagined and real. In a very neurological sense, the dream is real while it is happening, and yet your body does not act on these experiences. During REM sleep, the brainstem sends signals that effectively paralyze the major muscle groups of the body. This state is called REM atonia. It exists, researchers believe, to prevent the sleeping body from physically acting out the movements happening inside the dream. Without this paralysis, the dreaming brain would be difficult to live with. Reaching, reacting, responding to things that exist only in the mind. The body is held still, so the mind can move freely. It is one of the most elegant protective mechanisms in human biology. Occasionally, this paralysis extends briefly into the moments just after waking. If you have ever opened your eyes and found yourself unable to move for a few seconds, your body present but unresponsive. You have experienced what is called sleep paralysis. It is harmless, though it can feel unsettling. Some researchers believe it may be the origin of certain reported experiences across cultures and across history. The sense of a presence in the room, a weight on the chest, a feeling of being held in place. The brain, momentarily caught between dreaming and waking, filling the gap with sensation. So already, we begin to see what the dreaming brain is doing. It is constructing an experience so complete, so convincing, that it activates nearly every system in the body: visual, emotional, motor, social, while simultaneously holding the physical body still. This is not rest. This is something far more intricate. The dream is a full simulation of reality, running inside the sleeping mind. And the question our journey is following tonight: what is actually happening in the brain when that simulation begins to feel real, is already starting to answer itself. The neurotransmitter acetylcholine plays a central role in initiating and sustaining REM sleep. During REM, acetylcholine levels rise sharply, driving the activation of the brain regions responsible for dreaming. At the same time, levels of serotonin and norepinephrine, two chemicals associated with waking alertness and emotional regulation, fall to their lowest points of the entire day. This chemical shift is part of what makes REM sleep so neurologically distinct. The brain runs on a different fuel during dreaming. It is operating in a mode that waking life almost never accesses. One of the most consistent findings in dream research is that emotions are more intense during dreaming than they are during waking. Joy, fear, sadness, confusion, and love can all appear in dreams with a vividness that waking emotional life rarely matches. Researchers believe this is partly because the amygdala, which processes emotion, is highly active during REM sleep, while the prefrontal regions that normally modulate emotional responses are less engaged. The dreaming mind feels things without the usual editing. Without the careful management of how feelings are allowed to surface, the amygdala is particularly active during emotionally intense dream scenarios. Studies using functional brain imaging have found that threatening or fearful dream scenarios correlate with especially strong amygdala activation. This has led some researchers to propose that one function of dreaming may be to process difficult emotions in a relatively contained environment. The body is still. The threat is held inside the mind, but the emotional experience and the neural processing it requires is completely genuine. The hippocampus, the brain's primary memory structure, is also deeply involved in dreaming. During REM sleep, the hippocampus replays recent experiences and communicates with the cortex in a process called memory consolidation. Memories that were encoded during the day are strengthened, reorganized, and integrated with older memories during this replay process. Dreaming appears to be one expression of this consolidation, the mind processing the events of the day, finding patterns, and weaving new experience into the longer story of who you are. Research published in recent years has confirmed that sleep, and REM sleep in particular, plays an essential role in emotional memory processing. Studies have shown that people who are allowed to complete a full night of sleep, including adequate REM, show less emotional reactivity to distressing images the following day than people whose REM sleep was interrupted. The dreaming brain appears to take the emotional charge off difficult memories, preserving the information while softening the feeling attached to it. Sleep researcher Matthew Walker has described this as the brain providing overnight therapy without a therapist. Dreams frequently draw on recent memory, what researchers call the day residue effect. Events, conversation, and experiences from the past day or two tend to appear in dreams, often transformed, recombined, or placed in entirely unfamiliar contexts. But dreams also reach back further, to memories from weeks, months, sometimes years earlier. The dreaming brain is not a chronological archive. It is something more like an associative library, pulling material together based on emotional resonance and thematic connection rather than time. There is also a second memory window that research has identified: events experienced approximately 5 to 7 days before a dream are more likely to appear in that dream than events from the days immediately in between. This pattern, sometimes called the dream lag effect, suggests that the brain revisits certain experiences at intervals, not just once, but in waves. Memory consolidation during sleep may be a process that unfolds across multiple nights, returning to the same material more than once as it works toward integration. Not everything that appears in dreams is drawn from memory. A significant portion of dream content is novel, unfamiliar faces, places that have never existed, combinations of experience that could not have been lived. The dreaming brain is generative. It does not simply replay, it creates. This generative quality of dreaming has drawn the attention of researchers and artists for generations. Across history, insights and works in many fields have arrived in the half-light of dreams, or in the moments just after waking. The mind operating without the constraints of ordinary logic, making connections that careful thought would not allow. The default mode network, a set of brain regions that becomes active when the mind is at rest. Daydreaming, or reflecting on the self, is highly engaged during REM sleep. This network is associated with self-referential thinking, social cognition, and the construction of mental narratives about one's own life. Its activation during dreaming helps explain why dreams so often center on personal concerns, relationships, and emotionally significant themes. The dreaming brain is not randomly generating imagery. It is, in a very real sense, thinking about you. Lucid dreaming, the experience of becoming aware that you are dreaming while the dream is still happening, has been studied scientifically since the 1970s. In a lucid dream, the dreamer knows they are dreaming and can sometimes influence the direction of the dream's events. Research using EEG and brain imaging has shown that during lucid dreaming, the prefrontal cortex, normally quieter during REM, shows increased activation. The dreamer has, in some sense, brought their waking awareness partially back online, while the dream continues to run. Lucid dreamers have been used as research subjects in ways that have genuinely expanded the field, because they can signal to researchers while dreaming, using prearranged eye movements. Scientists have been able to observe real-time neural events during specific dream experiences. Studies from groups in Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States have used this technique to build a picture of the dreaming mind that earlier methods could not reach. The sleeper, gently aware inside the dream, becomes a quiet bridge between the sleeping brain and the waking world of research. Children dream differently than adults. Studies suggest that young children, particularly those under 5, often dream about animals, basic sensory experiences, and simple scenarios. With relatively few social interactions and almost no self-representation, the complex, socially rich, emotionally elaborate dreams of adulthood appear to develop gradually as the brain matures. This has led researchers to suggest that the content and complexity of dreams may be tied to the development of the brain regions responsible for social cognition and self-awareness. Regions that continue developing well into the mid-20s. Blind individuals dream, but how they dream depends on when they lost their sight. People who were born sighted and lost vision later in life continue to have visual dreams for years, sometimes decades. After losing their sight, people who have been blind from birth dream in sound, touch, smell, and spatial sensation. The dreaming brain generates experience from the inputs it knows. Whatever sensory world a person has lived in, the dreaming mind reconstructs faithfully, drawing from the architecture of that person's unique experience of being alive. Animals almost certainly dream. Studies of birds, mammals, and even some reptiles have found REM-like sleep states in species across the animal kingdom. Sleeping rats, for example, show hippocampal activity patterns during REM sleep that precisely mirror the patterns recorded when those same rats were navigating a maze earlier in the day. The dreaming rat, in a neural sense, appears to be running the maze again. Whatever dreaming is for, whatever it is doing, it is old enough and preserved enough across species that evolution has carried it through hundreds of millions of years. And so, 25 facts into our quiet journey. The first shape of an answer is already forming. The dreaming brain is not passive. It is not simply idling. It is processing emotion, consolidating memory, generating novel experience, rehearsing social interactions, and running a full simulation of reality, all while the body lies completely still. Tonight, while you sleep, your brain will do all of this for you, without asking, without effort on your part. That is the nature of dreaming. It is the brain's most private act of care, and it has been happening to you every single night of your life. Every cell in your body knows how to sleep. This state, this particular surrender, has been repeated across the long history of the human animal, night after night, without instruction. Right now, your brain is sorting through today, deciding what matters, quietly releasing what can be let go. You don't need to assist it. The process is patient. It knows. It has always known. Simply rest here and let the sorting continue on its own. One of the most persistent questions in dream science is whether dreams serve a specific biological purpose or whether they are simply a byproduct of the brain processes that do. The current scientific consensus leans toward purpose. The evidence from memory research, emotional regulation studies, and evolutionary biology all suggests that dreaming does something specific enough that the brain has been doing it consistently across species and across millions of years of evolution. The exact nature of that purpose, however, is still being worked out. One prominent theory is the threat simulation hypothesis, proposed by Finnish cognitive neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo. This theory suggests that the dreaming brain evolved as a kind of rehearsal system, a contained space to practice responding to difficulty without real-world consequences. The high frequency of challenging content in dreams, being chased, falling, confronting uncertainty, is, from this perspective, not a reflection of anxiety so much as a form of preparation. The sleeping mind rehearsing responses that the waking mind may one day call upon. A related but distinct theory frames dreaming as social simulation. Researchers observing the content of dreams across cultures have noted that the vast majority of dream scenarios involve other people, conversation, relationships, conflicts, collaboration. The dreaming brain appears to spend much of its time in the social world. Some researchers suggest this is no accident. Social cognition, the ability to understand, predict, and navigate the behavior of others, may be one of the things the dreaming brain is quietly practicing each night. There is growing evidence that REM sleep specifically enhances the ability to recognize and interpret emotional expressions. Studies have found that people who get adequate REM sleep are better at accurately reading emotional cues in faces the following day, more sensitive to subtle expressions of feeling in others. People whose REM sleep is disrupted show a measurable change in this ability. The dreaming brain, it appears, is actively tuning the social and emotional perceptive systems, calibrating, each night, the instruments we use to understand each other. Another theory, sometimes called the continuity hypothesis, proposes that dreams are a continuation of the concerns, préoccupations, and emotional themes that dominate waking life. According to this view, what a person dreams about is a meaningful reflection of what matters to them. Studies examining dream diaries, alongside psychological assessments, have found consistent connections between the emotional themes of a person's dreams and the emotional concerns of their waking life. The dream is not separate from the life. It is woven from it. The neuropsychologist Mark Solms has spent decades arguing that the motivational systems of the brain, the systems associated with desire, curiosity, and seeking, are deeply involved in dreaming. His research suggests that dreams are generated not primarily by perceptual or memory systems, but by the brain's reward and motivation circuits. From this perspective, dreaming is not just about processing what has already happened. It is about the brain following its own curiosity through the night. Moving toward meaning in the way a waking mind might follow a question. The role of dopamine in dreaming has become an increasingly active area of research. Dopamine, often associated with reward and motivation, also plays a role in generating the vivid, forward-moving quality of dreams. Some researchers have noted that certain neurological conditions affecting dopamine systems are associated with changes in dream content and frequency. This connection between the brain's reward circuitry and the dreaming mind suggests that dreams may carry something of the same quality as curiosity, a reaching forward, a following of something not yet found. Recurring dreams are among the most commonly reported dream experiences, and one of the most studied. Researchers have found that recurring dreams, those that return with the same themes, scenarios, or emotional qualities across weeks, months, or even years, are more common during periods of psychological stress or unresolved emotional difficulty. The prevailing interpretation is that the dreaming brain returns to unresolved material, not randomly, but because the processing remains incomplete. The same dream appears again, as if the brain is quietly returning to ask, "Is there more to do here?" Nightmares are defined as dreams that are distressing enough to wake the dreamer. They are most common in childhood, occurring with high frequency between the ages of 3 and 6, and tend to decrease in frequency with age, though they never fully disappear. Chronic nightmares in adults are often associated with anxiety and psychological difficulty. Research into nightmare disorder has expanded significantly in recent years, driven partly by its prevalence among those who have experienced trauma. There are now several evidence-based treatments, particularly imagery rehearsal therapy, that have shown consistent effectiveness in reducing nightmare frequency. Imagery rehearsal therapy works by asking the person with recurring nightmares to recall the dream while awake, then consciously rewrite its ending, changing the scenario, introducing a resolution, or simply altering one key element. The person then rehearses this new version of the dream in their mind each day. Over time, many people find that the rewritten version begins to replace the original nightmare during actual sleep. The waking mind, it turns out, can leave instructions for the dreaming mind, and the dreaming mind, in many cases, follows them. Post-traumatic nightmares are neurologically distinct from ordinary nightmares in important ways. Ordinary nightmares occur predominantly during REM sleep. Post-traumatic nightmares, particularly in the acute period following trauma, often occur during non-REM sleep, earlier in the night, with less of the narrative complexity that characterizes REM dreaming. This difference has implications for treatment and for understanding how the brain processes different kinds of distressing experience. The dreaming mind approaches ordinary difficulty differently than it approaches the memory of something that was actually survived. The glymphatic system, a network of channels in the brain through which cerebrospinal fluid flows, is most active during sleep. This system clears metabolic waste products from the brain, including amyloid beta, a protein whose accumulation has been linked to neurodegenerative conditions. Research suggests that the glymphatic system operates most efficiently during certain stages of non-REM sleep, when brain cells physically contract slightly allowing fluid to flow more freely. The sleeping brain is not simply resting, it is being gently cleaned. The night is, among other things, a quiet maintenance operation. The relationship between dreaming and creativity has been documented across a remarkable range of domains. Researchers have found that REM sleep specifically enhances the ability to find connections between distantly related concepts, a cognitive ability at the heart of creative insight. In one study, people who were allowed to sleep, and specifically to enter REM between two phases of a problem-solving task, showed significantly improved performance compared to those who stayed awake or who were allowed only non-REM sleep. Something about the dreaming brain loosens the connections between ideas, allowing patterns to emerge that waking logic would not find. Hypnagogia, the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep, produces its own category of dreamlike experience. In hypnagogia, image, sounds, and sensations arise spontaneously at the threshold of consciousness. Geometric patterns, fragmentary scenes, voices calling a name, the brief sensation of falling. These experiences are distinct from full REM dreams, but share some of their qualities: the sense of presence, the vividness, the brief conviction that what is appearing is real. Some noted thinkers have deliberately used this threshold state as a source of insight, resting at the edge of sleep without quite crossing it. And so, 40 facts into this gentle journey. The evidence is accumulating into something coherent. The dreaming brain is not an accident. It is not noise. It is a sophisticated biological system with multiple, overlapping functions: emotional regulation, memory consolidation, social rehearsal, creative processing, and more. Each of these functions has been documented in controlled research settings, across different laboratories, using different methods. The consistency of that evidence is itself meaningful. Something this universal, this carefully preserved across species, is doing something genuinely worthwhile. The dream, it turns out, is the brain at work. You're still here, still listening, still somewhere between thinking and resting. Take one slow breath. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do tonight. We'll keep going together, gently. The content of dreams is not random, but it is not fully predictable either. Researchers have identified consistent patterns: emotional tone, the prevalence of social scenarios, the tendency toward movement and pursuit. But within those patterns, the specific content of any given dream is shaped by the unique history, concerns, and neural architecture of the individual dreamer. No two people dream alike. Your dreams are as particular to you as your fingerprints, shaped by the specific life you have lived, the specific feelings you carry, the specific memories that your brain has chosen to keep. Most people dream in color. Studies asking dreamers to describe their dreams immediately upon waking consistently find that color is reported as a natural part of the experience. The sky was blue. The room was dark red. The figure wore yellow. However, some early research suggested that people who grew up watching black and white television reported dreaming in black and white at higher rates than those who grew up with color television. More recent research has complicated this finding, but the observation itself points to something worth noticing. The dreaming brain appears to draw on the visual conventions of the world it has lived in. The sense of smell is one of the least commonly reported senses in dreams. While many people dream with vivid, visual, and auditory experiences, olfactory sensations, actual smells within the dream, are relatively rare. Researchers believe this may be related to how the olfactory system connects to the rest of the brain, as well as to the general tendency of dreaming to activate visual and emotional systems most strongly. Some people who have lost their sense of smell report that it was also absent in their dreams. Long before the waking loss became obvious to them, time in dreams does not move the way it does in waking life. The subjective duration of a dream can feel much longer than the actual time elapsed during sleep. A dream that feels like it lasted hours may have occurred during a REM period of only 15 minutes. The reverse also happens. Some dreams feel instantaneous, but contain elaborate sequences of events. The dreaming brain is not bound by the ordinary relationship between time and experience. It generates duration as fluidly as it generates space, stretching and compressing it according to needs that waking consciousness cannot fully track. The faces that appear in dreams are almost always people the dreamer has encountered in real life, even when the dream face feels unfamiliar. Research and accounts from dreamers consistently suggest that the brain does not invent entirely new human faces. It recombines, transforms, and displaces faces from memory. The stranger in last night's dream was built from someone you have actually seen, perhaps briefly, perhaps long ago, perhaps so fleetingly that you have no conscious record of the encounter. The dreaming mind has a longer memory for faces than the waking mind knows. Dream incorporation. The way the dreaming brain absorbs stimuli from the external environment and weaves them into the dream has been studied carefully and is now well documented. Sounds from the room, sensations of cold or warmth, even voices speaking nearby can become part of dream content, transformed into narrative elements that fit the ongoing dream scenario. A phone ringing becomes a bell in a dream marketplace. A touch on the shoulder becomes the hand of a character the dreamer was already speaking to. The dreaming brain is permeable, open to the outside world in ways the waking mind is not. Most people forget the majority of their dreams. Studies suggest that without immediate recording, writing or speaking the dream within the first few minutes of waking, most dream content is gone within 5 to 10 minutes. The rapid forgetting of dreams is thought to be related to the neurochemistry of REM sleep, specifically the low levels of norepinephrine during REM, which ordinarily helps encode memories into long-term storage. The dreaming brain runs on a chemical mixture that is, by design, not optimized for remembering. The experiences are vivid, but their traces are soft. People who keep dream journals consistently report improved dream recall over time. The act of writing dreams down immediately upon waking, even fragments, even single images, appears to strengthen the brain's capacity to retrieve dream memories before they dissolve. Some researchers believe this is because the intention to remember, held before sleep, may prime the systems involved in dream encoding. The waking mind and the dreaming mind are in more communication than most people realize, and the relationship can be cultivated gently over time. The question of whether dreams have meaning in a psychological or symbolic sense has been debated for well over a century. Modern neuroscience has moved away from the idea that every dream symbol carries a fixed meaning, while retaining the observation that the emotional themes of dreams are often meaningful reflections of a person's inner life. Dream content is not random, even if it is not a simple code to be decoded. The most consistent finding is this: what you dream about tends to reflect what matters to you, what you are working through, what you are longing for, what you have not yet resolved. Halfway through this quiet journey, and the answer is beginning to take shape. The dreaming brain is, at its core, doing something deeply personal. It is taking the experiences of a life, the memories, the emotions, the unresolved concerns, the social connections, the creative questions, and working with them through the night. Not solving them, not always, but tending to them, returning to them, processing them in a medium that waking life does not offer. The full immersion, fully felt, fully vivid world of the dream. This is what is happening in your brain when you dream. It is caring for you in the only way it knows how. The memory you believe most strongly is actually reconstructed each time you recall it. Right now, your brain is quietly rewriting itself, and tonight is part of that draft. Every night of sleep that you move through is one quiet revision in the long manuscript of who you are. You don't need to oversee the editing. The process is patient. It knows where it is going. Simply rest here, at the midpoint, and allow the work to continue without you. Certain medications affect dreaming in profound ways. Antidepressants that work on the serotonin system, a class called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, often suppress REM sleep and can significantly reduce dream recall or vivid dreaming. When these medications are discontinued, some people experience a rebound effect, a sharp increase in REM intensity, often with unusually vivid or emotionally charged dreams. The dreaming brain, after a period of suppression, reasserts itself. This phenomenon has helped researchers understand how the brain's need for dreaming operates and how persistently it reasserts that need when given the chance. Alcohol, while it may help some people fall asleep more quickly, suppresses REM sleep in the early part of the night. As alcohol metabolizes through the second half of the night, REM sleep rebounds, sometimes with unusual vividness. This is one reason people often report intense dreams after drinking. The suppression in the first half of the night creates a kind of pressure that is released in the second half. The sleeping brain, in this sense, keeps a quiet account, noting what it has been given less of and gently seeking to collect. The study of people with REM sleep behavior disorder has offered some of the most illuminating evidence for how the dreaming brain works. In this condition, The normal stillness of REM sleep, REM atonia, fails to function properly. People with this disorder physically act out their dreams, speaking, gesturing, sometimes moving in their sleep in ways consistent with the dream narrative. When woken, they report vivid, often active dreams that align with the movements observed. The condition is most common in older adults, and it has allowed researchers to see, in behavioral form, the content of the dreaming mind. REM, sleep behavior disorder, has become an important area of neurological research because in many people it appears years before any other symptoms of certain neurodegenerative conditions, including Parkinson's disease. This long window between the sleep change and any later diagnosis is something researchers are actively studying, not to cause concern, but because it opens a period in which the brain may still be reached most effectively. The dreaming brain, in this sense, speaks early. It may one day help medicine listen sooner. For tonight, this is simply one more reminder that the sleeping brain carries more quiet information than we have always known how to read. Research into the dreaming experiences of people with depression has found consistent differences from the dreams of people without depression. People experiencing depression tend to have dreams that are more negatively toned, shorter in duration of positive effect, and more often characterized by themes of loss and difficulty. Interestingly, some researchers have found that the emotional processing that occurs during REM sleep appears to be altered or less effective in depression. As if the nightly tending that dreaming is meant to provide is, during depressive episodes, less able to do its work. There is a small but thoughtful body of research on what are called shared dreams, cases in which two people report dreaming of each other with unusual specificity, or report dreamlike experiences with overlapping content. These reports remain scientifically unexplained and are not accepted as established phenomena, but they persist as reported experiences across cultures and across time. Sleep researchers tend to approach them with curiosity rather than certainty, noting that the mechanisms of dream generation are still not fully understood and that the boundaries of what the sleeping mind can or cannot do have held more than one quiet mystery. The philosopher and dream researcher J. Allen Hobson, who spent decades studying the neural basis of dreaming, proposed a theory called the activation synthesis hypothesis. In this framework, the dreaming brain does not receive coherent input from the external world and must synthesize experience from internally generated signals. The brain, according to this view, is doing its best to make a story out of signals arising from within. Later in his career, Hobson refined this view significantly, moving toward a position that recognized the meaningful content of dreams rather than treating them as pure neural activity without direction. More recent computational models of dreaming have proposed that the brain during sleep is running something like a generative simulation, a predictive model of the world that runs without sensory input. In waking life, the brain constantly generates predictions about what it is about to experience and updates those predictions based on incoming sensory data. During dreaming, the incoming sensory data is absent. and the predictive model runs on its own, generating experience from expectation, memory, and emotion rather than from external reality. The dream, in this framework, is the brain's model of the world, running in freefall. There is growing interest in what dreaming reveals about consciousness. The fact that the dreaming brain generates a subjective experience, Aufhält, the first-person sense of being somewhere, of seeing, of feeling, without external input, raises quiet questions about the nature of experience itself. If the brain can create the full quality of experience from internal activity alone, what does that tell us about what experience always is? Some philosophers of mind have argued that dreaming is not a special case of consciousness, but a demonstration of what consciousness always was. A model generated from within. Dream reports collected across cultures show remarkable consistency in their broad emotional and thematic patterns, while differing significantly in specific content and symbolism across cultures separated by geography, language, and tradition. People dream of being chased, of falling, of being unable to move or speak, of arriving unprepared for something important. The universality of these themes across human populations has led researchers to suggest that certain dream patterns may be rooted in ancient, shared aspects of the nervous system, inheritances that predate culture, language, and even agriculture. The falling dream, that brief sensation of dropping, the sharp waking just before the moment of landing, is one of the most universally reported dream experiences in the world. One explanation involves the hypnagogic jerk, a muscle twitch that often occurs at the threshold of sleep. Sometimes accompanied by a sensation of falling, the dreaming brain, interpreting this physical signal, may construct a scenario around it. Another theory relates the falling sensation to the brain's monitoring of body position, a monitoring system that becomes briefly uncertain as the body relaxes into sleep. Dreams of flying, also reported across virtually every human culture, are among the most consistently described as pleasurable. In surveys of dream content, flying dreams are among the most frequently recalled and most positively rated. Researchers have proposed several explanations. The feeling of lightness as the body enters deep relaxation, the reduction of proprioceptive input during sleep, or simply the brain's capacity for generative simulation running without the constraint of physical law. Whatever the mechanism, the experience of freedom from gravity, even when asleep, appears to carry a quality of release that the mind finds genuinely restful, teeth becoming loose, showing up somewhere unprepared, being unable to find a familiar destination. These are among the other most commonly reported dream themes across cultures. Researchers have linked these themes to experiences of vulnerability and transition, rather than to specific fixed meanings. They appear with greatest frequency during periods of significant life change, new roles, endings, decisions that have not yet been made. The dreaming brain, it seems, has a vocabulary for uncertainty. It reaches for these familiar scenarios when life is in motion and the outcome is not yet known. The neuroscientist Robert Stickgold, whose work on sleep and memory has been among the most influential of the past 3 decades, has described dreaming as the brain doing something like free association, making connections across the contents of memory without the directional constraint of waking thought. In waking life, thinking is largely goal-directed. We follow chains of association toward a conclusion. In dreaming, the associations run more freely, looping, diverging, combining elements that waking logic would keep separate. Stick Gold has argued that this quality of dreaming is precisely what makes it so useful for creativity and for learning. We now understand that the dreaming brain is not a single system doing a single thing. It is a collection of overlapping systems, each with its own agenda, operating simultaneously during the unusual neurochemical conditions of REM sleep. Memory systems are replaying and reorganizing. Emotional systems are processing and regulating. Predictive systems are running simulations. Motivational systems are following their own quiet curiosity. The dream that emerges from all this simultaneous activity is not the product of any one system. It is the experience of all of them operating together. Without a conductor, there is evidence that the dreaming brain can engage in a form of problem-solving that differs from waking cognition. Studies have found that people who hold a specific question in mind before sleep, allowing it to rest there as they drift off, are more likely to report relevant insights upon waking. The effect is strongest after REM sleep. The dreaming brain does not appear to approach problems in the logical, step-by-step way that waking cognition does. It moves toward them sideways, through association and unexpected connection, sometimes arriving at a resolution that the waking mind then recognizes as right. The relationship between dreaming and physical health is more extensive than was once understood. Beyond the emotional regulation and memory consolidation that dreaming supports, REM sleep has been shown to play a role in immune function, metabolic regulation, and hormonal balance. Chronic sleep deprivation, which preferentially reduces REM sleep, is associated with a wide range of health changes over time. The dreaming portion of sleep is not optional biology. It is woven into the functioning of almost every system in the body. Taking care of your sleep is, in a profound sense, taking care of everything. Body temperature regulation changes during REM sleep in ways that have no counterpart in any other part of the sleep cycle. During REM sleep, the body largely loses its ability to thermoregulate, to adjust its temperature in response to the environment. The dreaming brain appears to redirect so many of its resources toward the generation of dream experience that the usual maintenance functions are temporarily set aside. This is one reason that sleeping in a comfortable, consistent temperature environment matters so much for dream quality. The dreaming brain, fully occupied with its own activity, has little attention left for the temperature of the room. Research from the past several years has deepened understanding of how dreams relate to the processing of social emotions, empathy, compassion, and the sense of connection to others. Studies have found that REM sleep specifically enhances the capacity for complex social and emotional reasoning the following day. People who sleep well, with adequate REM, show greater capacity for nuanced social judgment. the dreaming brain is, among other things, rehearsing and maintaining the very qualities that make human relationships possible. There is a quality that experienced dream researchers describe as the hyperassociative logic of dreaming, a mode of thinking that connects very different categories of experience in ways that feel natural within the dream, but that waking life would not produce on its own. This quality arises from the particular neurochemical conditions of REM sleep, allowing associations to run more freely than waking thought permits. Not all of these connections are useful, but some of them are exactly what a problem has been waiting for. The link that careful thought could not find, arriving quietly in the night. Some researchers have proposed that dreaming serves a function in the development and maintenance of self. The continuous narrative that each person carries about who they are. Dreams draw heavily on autobiographical memory and on the concerns that are most emotionally significant to the dreamer. They frequently involve scenarios where the dreamer's identity, relationships, and values are gently tested or explored. From this perspective, the nightly dream is not just processing events. It is working on the person who experiences them. Each morning, the self that wakes is, in some subtle measure, a self that has been tended. The experience of meaning in dreams, the sense, often felt upon waking, that a dream was significant, even when its specific content cannot be recalled, has been studied in relation to psychological well-being. People who report a general sense that their dreams are meaningful show higher levels of well-being in some studies, independent of whether they can articulate what that meaning was. The feeling of having processed something during sleep may itself carry a kind of comfort, a sense that the mind has been at work, quietly, on behalf of the person. The transition between sleeping and waking, the hypnopompic state, carries its own category of experience, distinct from hypnagogia and from full dreams. In this state, which occurs as the brain moves from sleep toward waking, people often experience unusually clear imagery, a strong sense of presence in a particular place, or the lingering emotional resonance of a dream that has not yet fully dissolved. Some of the most vivid dream memories come from this threshold. The brief window when the dreaming brain is still producing experience, but the waking mind is beginning to observe it. People who practice meditation regularly report differences in their dream life compared to non-meditators. Studies have found that regular meditators tend to have more positive dream content, more frequent lucid dreaming, and better overall dream recall. Some researchers have proposed that meditation may strengthen the metacognitive awareness, the capacity to observe one's own mental states, that underlies lucid dreaming. The skills cultivated in waking meditation practice appear to carry, in some measure, into the sleeping mind. The quiet attention that meditation trains does not fully rest when the meditator does. The question we have been following, what is actually happening in the brain when a dream becomes real enough to feel, has now been answered at the level of the intellect. The brain during dreaming is running a full sensory simulation, drawing on memory and emotion, generating experience from within, sustained by a precise neurochemical environment that exists only during REM sleep. The experience feels real because every system that registers reality is engaged. visual, emotional, social, motor. The dream is the most complete experience the brain can generate from the inside, and every night, it generates it for you. Sleep doesn't come when you try to sleep. It comes when you stop trying. This is exactly that moment. The dreaming mind does not wait for permission. It arrives when the conditions are right, when the body is still, when the vigilance has softened, when the waking mind has agreed, at last, to let go. You have been letting go all evening. You are closer to that moment than you were an hour ago. There is nothing left to do, only to allow the cycle, only to follow the current already carrying you forward. Dreams do not ask to be understood. They arrive, and they pass. The brain does not require that you decode them to benefit from what they do. The emotional processing, the memory consolidation, the social rehearsal, all of this happens regardless of whether the dreamer remembers a single image in the morning. The work of dreaming goes on below the surface of conscious recall, like the roots of a tree, moving quietly through the dark, unseen and unrequired to be seen. Sleep scientists have observed that people who wake frequently during the night, even briefly, often do not feel rested in the morning, even when their total sleep time is adequate. One reason for this is that frequent waking disrupts the architecture of sleep, preventing the full completion of REM cycles. The dreaming brain needs uninterrupted time to do its work. The long, continuous REM periods of the early morning hours, the ones that hold the richest dream content, are also the ones most easily lost when sleep is fragmented. The transition into a dream is not abrupt, it is gradual, following the slow descent of consciousness through lighter and lighter stages of awareness until the border between waking and dreaming dissolves. Many people are not certain, in the moment, exactly when they cross that border. The experience simply changes. The internal imagery grows more autonomous. The narrative takes on its own momentum, and the waking mind releases its editorial hold. Sleep arrives, the way dusk arrives. Not all at once, but in the gradual disappearance of something familiar and the quiet appearance of something else. Some of the most vivid and emotionally significant dreams occur during periods of grief. Bereaved individuals frequently report dreams featuring the person they have lost, sometimes comforting, sometimes tender, sometimes leaving a feeling of presence that persists into the waking day. Researchers studying grief and dreaming have found that these dreams can play a meaningful role in the mourning process, offering the dreamer a form of continued connection to someone who is gone. The dreaming brain, in these moments, seems to offer what waking reality cannot. Pregnancy is associated with significant changes in dreaming. Pregnant individuals often report more frequent dream recall, more vivid and emotionally intense dreams, and dreams more frequently themed around the pregnancy, birth, and the coming child. Researchers link this partly to the hormonal changes of pregnancy, shifts that alter sleep architecture, and partly to the heightened emotional significance of the period. The brain, during one of the most significant transitions a person can move through, turns its dreaming capacity toward the questions that waking life is also carrying. The sense of falling, the sensation of flying, the strange certainty that a dream location is somewhere you have never been, and yet somehow know. These qualities of dreaming have a particular gentleness to them when encountered with curiosity rather than analysis. The dreaming mind has its own logic, its own geography, its own temporal rules. There is something restful in accepting that logic rather than resisting it. In the most peaceful relationship a person can have with their own dreams, the dream is not a problem to be solved. It is an experience to be received. The body during dreaming maintains a quiet aliveness beneath its stillness. The heart rate varies, breathing shifts, blood pressure fluctuates in response to the emotional content of the dream. And beneath all of this, a continuous hum of physiological activity sustains the life of the sleeping person. Circulation, temperature regulation, cellular repair, all continuing through the night without a single conscious instruction. The word rest is, in this sense, only partially accurate. The body rests, the life within it continues. Research has found that napping, even brief naps of 20 to 30 minutes, can include elements of dreaming, particularly hypnagogic imagery and brief REM episodes. Longer naps of 90 minutes or more are more likely to include full REM cycles with narrative dreaming. This is why some people report waking from naps feeling more emotionally refreshed than their total sleep time would seem to account for. The dreaming function of sleep is available in small doses, as well as long ones. The brain takes what it is given and does what it can. The word dream has an older twin in Old English. Dream, which meant joy, mirth, and music. Something heard, not seen. The sleeping sense of the word appears to have arrived later, carried in from Old Norse, through centuries of contact between languages. Whether by meaning shift or borrowed influence, the two became one word, carrying both histories, and something quiet remains in that overlap. A word that once named music now names the mind's own nightly composition. In cultures across the world, dreams have been treated as a form of communication from ancestors, from the future, from something larger than the individual self. Modern neuroscience does not support the literal interpretation of these beliefs, but it has not dismissed the intuition behind them. Dreams do carry information. They communicate emotional states, unresolved concerns, and patterns of thinking that the waking mind has not yet brought fully into awareness. The sense that a dream was telling you something, even without knowing exactly what, might be, in some quiet sense, worth listening to. The dreaming mind does not distinguish between the past and the present in the way waking cognition does. A person who died years ago can appear in a dream as entirely present, speaking, moving, real. A childhood bedroom can be revisited with the full sensory quality of actually being there. The dreaming brain does not organize experience chronologically. It organizes it by emotional resonance, by significance, by the particular quality of feeling that a memory carries. The past, in dreaming, is not the past. It is alive, Some dreams leave an emotional residue that persists long into the waking day, a mood whose source the person cannot quite identify. Researchers who study mood and sleep have documented this phenomenon. The emotional tone of the previous night's dreams influences the emotional state of the following day in measurable ways. A particularly difficult dream can leave a shadow. A particularly warm one can leave a quiet light. The dreaming brain's work does not stay neatly contained inside the night. Your brain creates entire worlds while you sleep every night. During REM, your mind constructs experience from memory fragments, emotions, and patterns that waking life has not assembled in that particular way before. Characters appear, conversations unfold, landscapes emerge, all generated from within. These dream worlds feel real in the moment, complete with sights and sounds and physical sensation. Yet, they dissolve upon waking. Like morning mist, the sleeping brain is not resting, it is creating. The tenderness of the dreaming mind toward the dreamer is something that science has documented, but not yet fully explained. The brain during dreaming appears to apply its emotional resources most heavily toward experiences that are personally significant, returning to what matters, processing what is unresolved, visiting what is loved and feared and longed for. This is not random. This is the brain attending to the particular life it is running. The dreaming mind cares. In whatever way a biological system can care about the person it belongs to. So, could we have known, before all of this research, that the dreaming brain was doing something this thoughtful in some ways? Yes, the fact that dreaming is universal, deeply preserved by evolution, and so consistently linked to emotional and cognitive health made it unlikely to be simply noise. What the research has done is given specific language to what human experience had always sensed. That what happens in the night matters, that the sleeping mind is not absent, that the dream is real in the ways that matter most. The quality of your sleep affects the quality of your dreaming, and the quality of your dreaming affects the quality of your waking life. These are not separate compartments. They are aspects of a single continuous process. The life of a brain moving through time, resting and working and resting again. Taking care of your sleep is not a luxury or a discipline. It is the most basic form of care you can offer to the mind that carries everything you are. Falling asleep in a familiar place, a room you trust, a temperature that feels right, a quiet that has been allowed to settle, creates conditions that the dreaming brain can work in most effectively. The sleeping mind is not indifferent to where it rests. The conditions of the body affect the conditions of the dream. A safe environment, a comfortable body, a mind that has been allowed to slow. These are the conditions in which the dreaming brain can do its deepest work. Tonight, all of those conditions are present. The most recent neuroscience of dreaming is moving toward a view of the sleeping mind as a modeling system, continuously running simulations, testing possibilities, updating its understanding of the world and of the self. This model building happens most actively during REM sleep, but it does not stop entirely during other stages. The sleeping brain is always doing something, always processing, always preparing the mind for what comes next. The rest that sleep offers the body is real. The activity that sleep sustains in the mind is equally real. There is something in the experience of waking from a warm dream, one that held something beautiful or familiar, that carries its own quiet nourishment. The feeling of having been somewhere, of having encountered something that mattered, even without the ability to name exactly what it was. This is not nothing. The emotional residue of a meaningful dream is a real experience, with real effects on how the waking day begins. The dreaming mind gives gifts, not always, but often enough. What happens in your brain when you dream is one of the most intricate and most personal processes that biology has ever produced. It is the brain taking the raw material of a life, all the memory, all the emotion, all the connection and loss and curiosity and love, and doing something with it each night, something that waking life does not have space for, something that requires darkness and stillness and the surrender of ordinary consciousness. The dream belongs to the dreamer, and every night, without fail, it returns. And so, our quiet journey through the dreaming brain comes to a gentle close. We began with the falling sensation, that brief lurch in the body as sleep first arrives, and discovered that even that small moment is the brain doing something precise, monitoring posture, interpreting sensation, weaving the physical into the narrative of experience. We traveled through the memory of a deceased loved one appearing in a dream with full presence, and found that the dreaming brain does not organize time the way waking life does. The past, inside the dream, is alive. Along the way, we discovered that what happens in your brain when you dream is not an accident, and not a mystery without shape. It is the brain at its most personal, tending to the life it carries, night after night, in the only language it knows. When the waking world goes quiet, the same forces that rebuilt your memories tonight were doing the same thing last night, and will do it again tomorrow. Much of the most important tending that happens to you happens without your awareness, without your effort, without your permission being required. By pausing to know this, even briefly, even drowsily, you touch something that has been true about you all along. You are, even in sleep, being cared for by your own mind faithfully. Every night, in these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about the quiet unity of every dreaming mind tonight. Yours, and the many others across the world, moving through the same descent, each one held inside their own particular dream, each one being tended by the brain that carries them. You are not the only one lying here, allowing the night to do its work. Let your entire being dissolve into the space between waking and sleeping, where thought becomes image, where the boundary between you and the dream grows soft, where the mind that has been carrying you all day finally sets you gently down. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left, only peace. If this quiet journey through the dreaming mind helped you find your way toward rest tonight, if something in it felt like permission or like being understood, perhaps pass it along to someone else who lies awake at night with their thoughts still running. It might be exactly the gentle company they need to finally let go. Your dreaming mind is still unfolding right now. Without your help, without your witness, you don't need to hold any of this. It was never yours to carry. You've traveled inward tonight. Through corridors most people never pause to notice. You touched the quiet architecture of your own sleeping mind and found it more capable, more faithful, more tender than you may have known. You can allow these thoughts of dreaming to fade now, like the last image of a dream at dawn. Present, then softer, then simply part of everything, leaving only the quiet, unheld calm behind. Let your breathing deepen, let your body feel heavier, as if the gentle weight of all that has been sorted tonight is being set down carefully by something patient and is simply releasing you. If sleep comes, let it carry you the way the dreaming mind arrives, not with force, but with quiet intention, into a realm where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, your dreaming brain will still be there, still tending, still weaving, still becoming, but tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, gentle explorer, and remember, your mind is always rewriting toward the light. Good night.